What's going on, you guys? It's your boy Patrick, aka Addicted to Combat, back for another week of Best Bets and Props, where I go over all of my betting action for this weekend's UFC card, which is Noche UFC, aka UFC Fight Night, Las Vegas. We've got Alexa Grasso defending for the first time her flyweight championship against Valentina Shevchenko in this immediate rematch. So it's a pretty fun fight night card. Obviously, it's themed around the Mexican Independence Day this weekend. So there's a lot of Mexican and Mexican-American talent being showcased. And there's a lot of really wide money lines, a lot of big expected favorites to come through. But I'm trying to dodge the landmines here. I've got 2 money lines. I've got 4 prop bets. And of course, I'll go over my confident parlay pieces and miscellaneous props I like as well, but I haven't bet myself. So for all details on the 11 fights and 22 fighters this weekend, check out my full card breakdown I dropped earlier in the week, or check out last night's live stream I did with Effie from the Any Action Sportscast, and we had a really fun live chat as well. The live chat was popping last night. We had a lot of really smart subscribers as usual, sounding off their opinions and confident leans in the chat. So check out those videos. Hit the like, hit the subscribe. The first money line of the night is at the women's flyweight division between 2 wrestlers. I am taking Tracy Cortez to defeat Jasmine Vicious. Just 1 unit invested on this play at minus 115 on the Cortez money line. The money line is still right around that minus 115 to minus 125 mark. About an even money underdog is Jasmine. So I like everything about Cortez's game as an athlete. I think she's stronger in the wrestling, more technical in the wrestling. I think she's got better reversal strength to end up on top if she ends up on a bottom position here. And I think her reversal strength is a really big selling point here. And she blends her striking with her wrestling very well. Snappy hands. I think the faster hand speed out of the 2 fighters here is Tracy Cortez. So if this ends up being a striking battle, I think she can be competitive there and win. If it ends up being a mix of both striking and wrestling, I think she can pull off the decision win. The only thing I don't like about Tracy Cortez's game is that she is always coming off of big layoffs. This time it's a 15-month layoff since her win over the dangerous finisher in Melissa Gatto. So Cortez should come in here. If she comes in shape, doesn't have anything outside of the octagon, weighing on her mind or weighing on her weight cutting ability, I think she should cruise to a victory by decision in this spot. Moving on to the next fight is also a moneyline play at flyweight. This time it is in the main event, and it is on the underdog champion, Alexa Grasso. I got Alexa Grasso at plus 140 for 2 units to win over the woman she took the belt from in March, Valentina Shevchenko. Now, it's a bold play because Grasso was a huge, plus 700 underdog the first time they fought earlier this year, but she showed that she keeps on leveling up her game, and even in that big underdog spot, maintained composure, came in with 5-round cardio, and made it to round 4 and actually capitalized on that missed spin kick of Valentina, grabbed the back, put the hooks in, and got the rear naked choke or face crank there for the W. But I mean, you look beyond that. She won round 1 with her boxing, was, really giving Valentina, the southpaw Muay Thai striker, a lot of issues by switching to southpaw herself. Really good boxer is Alexa Grasso, but you could tell that she's been working on her defensive wrestling. She never accepted bottom position without giving up a fight. And even the signature crucifix position for Valentina was not working on Grasso. She was able to escape that position, kind of wall walk on the cage, get back to her feet. And by the time round 4 came around, Valentina was exhausted, telegraphing her takedowns, and it was easily stuffed by Alexa Grasso. So even if that missed spin kick didn't happen, even if there was no submission in round 4, I think Alexa Grasso wins round 4 and round 5 with superior cardio and ends up winning that bout 3 rounds to 2. And that same thing could happen this weekend. So I expect an even further developed version of Alexa Grasso, who's the younger woman at 30 years old here. I believe she is going to still keep on showing wrinkles to her game, maybe even show some offensive wrestling herself. And Valentina, I think the best days are behind her. And she did have a pretty good run. 7 title defenses. You can't look past that. I mean, this very well could be a discount on Shevchenko at minus 150 or whatever her money line is at. But she's 35 years old. The best days are likely behind her. And she was coming off of that close split decision, close win, close loss to Taila Santos last year. The year before that, beating Lauren Murphy, who just didn't look like she belonged. And the fight before that in 2021, she was defeating Jessica Andrade. Again, round 2, got her to the mat and crucifixed her to a TKO. So her last few performances, they're impressive ones, especially the finishes. But, it looks like the decline might be there if we look beyond the layers of some of those fights. But Alexa Grasso keeps on leveling up. I'll take her to win as an underdog here. Like I said, 2 units at plus 140. Moving on to the prop side of things, I do have 4 total props in this card, and a lot of them are just chopping down the big price tag of a huge favorite in the most expected and likely way that they finish the fight. The first one is at the bantamweight division. I am taking the 18-year-old prospect, the grappling phenom Raul Rosas Jr. to defeat Terrence Mitchell. Now, Raul Rosas Jr., if we look at the money line real fast, what it is now is somewhere between minus 700 and minus 800. He's the biggest favorite on the card, and that's both because he is that good, sticks to a game plan, he's very physically strong, and his submission skills are just beyond what you would expect for an 18-year-old. But it's also because Terrence Mitchell is not a very good UFC fighter. He's not UFC caliber. He's an Alaskan FC regional scene fighter that rarely sees his way out of round 1 or out of round 2. He's just defeating bums in Alaska. The one time we saw him come to the UFC years ago, he was on The Ultimate Fighter. He got knocked out in under a minute by Kai Kara France. He came in recently, I think, as a short notice replacement against another young prospect, Cameron Simon, and he didn't last one round against that kid either. So Terrence Mitchell, he's got early explosive striking potential, but he does have some wrestling and submission skills he goes to against lower level guys. That skill set will be vastly overlapped by the strength and skill of Raul Rosas Jr., who's faster, stronger, more technically able to get the job done. I do have him by submission at minus 160 for 1 unit there. So instead of paying minus 800 on Rosas Jr. and sticking him in a parlay or something, I'm just taking the minus 160, hoping he gets the sub and not the ground and pound, and putting 1 unit on that. So that's the bantamweight prop. The next one is at lightweight. I'm taking Charlie Campbell to defeat a returning fighter on a 6-year-long layoff from competition in Alex Reyes. So we're taking Charlie Campbell here in a debut spot at minus 175 for half of a unit to get that knockout over Alex Reyes. Alex Reyes, the last time we saw him one time in the UFC in 2017. He got knocked out in just over a minute by Mike Perry. It was a flurry of punches and clinched knees that ended up knocking out Alex Reyes cold. But if you look at Alex Reyes' career in King of the Cage and some earlier regional scene stuff, and we're going back to 2015, 2016, when he was active as a professional at 30 years old. This guy had pretty poor striking defense then. He's more of a grappler, honestly. He counter strikes from the outside, looks to level change, take the fight to the mat, and work a submission. But if he's forced to stay standing and striking, back in the day, this guy did not have very good striking defense. So unless he comes back after 6 years of medical issues, being bedridden at one point, dealing with some serious bone infections is why he's been gone. And now he comes back in a second UFC effort, 36 years old, against a young 28-year-old prospect in Charlie Campbell, who's got power in his hands, good boxing, and good hand speed. I mean, I just don't think it's going to get much better for Alex Reyes at this point. So I think it is going to be an under 1.5 round victory for Charlie Campbell. I think it is by knockout. So instead of paying, once again, on a debuting fighter, minus 525 on his money line, I'm risking it by a method. I just want him to knock out Alex Reyes in minus 175 on that price. Half of the units invested at the lightweight division. So we're just chopping down these big money lines, looking for the most likely way that these fights end, and not even investing that much on these props, to be honest. So the same thing is said for Daniel Zellhuber taking on a guy in Christos Yagos, who's a grappler. Daniel Zellhuber, the much younger prospect here at 24 years old, long for the weight class. He's 6'1", long reach, very quick strikes, creative strikes, and he's a guy at minus 260 on the money line. Christos Yagos is the more experienced UFC veteran of 12 fights, going 6-6 in the league, defeating pretty low-level competition and getting beat by the better competition. So he's somewhere in the middle, going 500 in the league so far. But the problem with Christos Yagos, although he's got very good takedown offense and good BJJ early, the guy just can't last more than like a round and a half of cardio. So by the time he takes down his opponents repeatedly, rinse and repeat in round 1, by round 2, it's really not even happening. he can get kind of sprawled and brawled easily, give up the later parts of a fight. And I think Zellhuber is enough of a tactician in the striking. I think he's going to be able to put Christos Yagos away after round 1. So I do expect a strong, formidable opponent in Yagos in round 1, but round 2, round 3, I'm taking for Zellhuber plus 550 to finish the fight in round 2, plus 850 to finish the fight for Zellhuber in round 3. I have 0.15 units on both of those finished props, so not much invested, but a huge opportunity to multiply that for a big payout. And I think he does do it in round 2 or round 3. If he gets the job done early against Yagos, then I lose that 0.3 units, but I think it is going to be Yagos wrestling early, having some success. Then Zellhuber is going to either get a submission or a knockout in round 2 or round 3. A long striker in Zellhuber, but honestly, Yagos, he starts diving for really reckless takedowns when he gets tired, puts his neck right in there for that guillotine position. I wouldn't be surprised if we see a front choke from Zellhuber there. So moving on to some miscellaneous props to target that I have not bet myself. Those ones I just mentioned, Tracy, Cortez, Alexa Grasso are the money lines. I do have the Rosas Jr. sub. I've got the Charlie Campbell knockout, and I've got the Zellhuber round 2, round 3 finish props. That's where my action ends on this card, but I do like Edgar Chairez in round 2 and round 3 as well to defeat Daniel Da Silva or Daniel Lacerda, whichever last name he's going by these days. It's at flyweight. We haven't seen Daniel Da Silva ever see a round 3, so I like the fight doesn't start round 3 as well. I expect Edgar Chairez to survive round 1, go in there in round 2, and probably finish Daniel Da Silva. But if you can find a good number on the round 3 prop to sprinkle in there, in addition to the round 2 prop, I wouldn't mind that for a small investment. I think it's a pretty clear pattern of events that Daniel Lacerda goes in there, balls to the wall in round 1. He's a shoot-to-box fighter now. Throws actually really good technique, good front kicks, stabbing to the body, sometimes spinning wheel kicks to the head. Good punches, good 1-2s that are long and accurate out of either stance. But after round 1, this guy just doesn't have the same cardio, and he gets finished. He's been finished in all 4 of his UFC appearances so far. 0-4, coming in for his 5th appearance against the Mexican fighter in Edgar Chairez at Noche UFC. I think we're setting him up for failure here and trying to make Edgar Chairez look good. And a guy in Chairez who has never been knocked out before out of his 15 bouts. So Edgar Chairez in round 2 or round 3. I don't know what the odds are for that. The sportsbooks I use have not dropped them at this point, but doing those finished props, and then also the fight doesn't start round 3. You can usually get a good price on that prop on FanDuel when it drops it. If you get anything for fight doesn't start round 3, minus 250 or better, I would take that for a small investment. So Roman Kopylov is up next. I like Roman Kopylov in round 2 and round 3 over Josh Fremd. This is a middleweight bout. Roman Kopylov is on a 3-fight win streak, all by finish. And they have all come in either round 2 or round 3. So this guy is kind of like an attritional striker, and his cardio looks pretty good these days. His entire game looks improved since he made his debut against Roberson and the next fight against Duraev, both losses. Now he looks like he's improving. He can be pretty durable early against big power threats like Punahele Soriano, Claudio Ribeiro, and now he's going in there and actually getting finishes himself against Di Chirico and both of the opponents I just named in round 2 and round 3. So his cardio looks good. His striking and combination looks clean. And against Josh Fremd, this guy just fought in a pretty lackluster performance where he missed weight by a massive 3 pounds just 1 month ago. So why Josh Fremd is coming back in the octagon so quickly, I'm not sure, but I don't think it's enough time to solve his striking defense issues or his weight cutting issues. So give me Roman Kopylov to defeat this guy down the stretch of the fight, somewhere in round 2 or round 3. I like those props. Now the opposite is true. I'm going against the violence in the Jack Della Maddalena Kevin Holland fight at welterweight here. I like the over 1.5 on Bovada and DraftKings. It's at minus 175. Holland's been pretty durable in his career, only been knocked out 1 time, and that was a TKO via corner stoppage when he broke his hand last December against Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. And he took a massive amount of punishment and stayed standing in that fight. So over the course of a 3-round fight where we only need to get over the 1.5 round mark for this prop to hit, I think he can do so against Jack Della Maddalena. Despite Maddalena's streak of 1-round finishes, he had to start his career in the UFC. Likewise, Jack Della, this guy's been on a 15-fight winning streak, only losing his 2 first professional bouts years ago, one by submission, one by knockout. But they were so long ago, I don't really count those as being relevant. he's a very dangerous switch stance technical striker, and he's got some pretty good, offensive club and sub ability with the grappling as well. I don't see him getting the job done early over Kevin Holland. So just cashing that over 1.5 round mark at -175, I like that. That's enough of a sweat for me if I were to play this. But the over 2.5, I think it hits. That's +105, and the fight goes to decision. Just that extra 2.5 minutes of sweat at the end of round 3, that is at +140. So I think they do hit in mostly a striking battle, but that will be a pretty sweaty one. I would just stick to that over 1.5 personally. But those are the miscellaneous props that I would like to target. I'm not playing those myself, but I do think that you could probably find a good price when the sports books drop. The round 2, round 3 on Chairez, the round 2, round 3 knockout for Kopylov, and the all of these time props for the Jack Della and Kevin Holland fight. As far as like parlay pieces, this has nothing to do with the money lines or the value on these fighters. These are all massive favorites, but the ones I think will come through with the least amount of resistance. Josephine Knudsen in the first fight of the night over Marnik Mann. I just don't see how Marnik Mann wins this fight outside of an anomaly. Same with Raul Rosas Jr. I think this kid is extremely talented and his opponent is not. And Lupita Godinez, I think, has a huge advantage in the grappling. Should she choose to use it against Elise Reed, I think it's going to be very easy in that strawweight bout. But even if Lupita Godinez does test her mettle in the striking here, I think she could win the fight. So Knudsen, Rosas Jr., Godinez, I think those are the safest pieces on this card. And as far as like props that I think are safe, I do like that Chairez Lacerda under 2.5, and I like the Cortez Jusuda Vicious over 2.5. So those are all of like the confident parlay pieces. Those 5, I think you could probably put those together, maybe get a good multiplier, and have a pretty sweat-free parlay out of those. So there you have it, you guys. All of my betting action and ideas for UFC Fight Night, Grasso versus Shevchenko, Noche UFC this Saturday. Let me know what you guys think in the comments if you agree or disagree with my plays. I'd love to know why, and I'd love to know ways that you guys plan to make money this Saturday. So good luck in all of that betting action. Hope you guys make piles of money this weekend. And I'll be back here and see you guys live 2 hours before the prelims start on Saturday, 4 p.m. Central Time, live on this channel with my co-hosts, Johnny K. Picks, Blood Money MMA Bets, and our special guest this Saturday as well. Just kicking it with you guys in the live chat, talking with each other about our plays and final betting action, and just buying time until the money making starts and the violence begins. So I'll see you guys there, again, 4 p.m. Central Time for that stream this Saturday.